Okay, so in the last two videos, we made a few mistakes. And when I say we, I mean I did. So let's talk about what I did wrong and how we can do it right going forward. So the biggest thing is that you want to make sure that you have a plan for your animation, what you want it to look like, and that before you try to start animating everything, that you have all of your assets in place. And so one of the things that I did really wrong last time, especially in the rotation video, was I tried to make an asset while I was making my animation. And so before you start your animation, you have to have all your assets in place. And so what I mean by assets, I mean all of your layers. So if you're going to do some kind of animation, you need to have those layers in place. And you need to think of any kind of animation process that you're going to do as a series of layers, and not so much a series of moving layers around. You can move layers, but that when you do that, a lot of times, if you make changes to those layers, it's going to affect other frames in your animation. So what do we need to do if we want to have not just have our seniors class of 2019 blink on and off, but if we want to have this centerpiece rotate? So how many assets are we going to need to make all that happen? And if we want to have the lion's head come in and the circle come in from the other side. So that's quite a few assets that we're going to need in order for this whole thing to happen. So let's turn off all our layers and let's talk about just how many assets and what exactly each one of the assets is going to do. So we've built all these assets in the other two videos already. So I want you to not focus so much on building the assets this time, but on just building the animation. All right. So the first and most basic is the blue background. We're going to be using that pretty much throughout the video. I also have a gray background that I built for other things, but I just want to leave it in there. We have the class of 2019 title. We have the seniors title. Okay, so I have these 8 lion complete. These are the rotation of our lion. So we have it almost like a little more than 270 degrees right there. Then we have it around, no, that's actually 270 degrees. So this is the more than 270, 270, a little bit less than 270, the 180, almost 90, 90, almost completely 0 and 0, right? So we have the 8 positions now for the rotation. Each one of them has its own layer, right, where it rotates around. Then I have my inner circle, my lion, and my outer circle. Actually, I think I named those wrong. This is the lion. So I'm going to name this the lion, and I'll name this the outer circle. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this as our final animation asset file. Okay, that's the file that you'll be using to start this off. Okay, I'm going to turn all my layers on except the background layer. Okay, so all my layers are turned on except the background layer. Actually, I'm going to turn off all these line complete layers. We don't need those right now. Okay, so this is going to be our beginning state. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, instead of having the layers fly on, let's have the circle and the lion fly off. So let's start with our outer circle. I'm going to start with the outer circle. I'm going to make a new frame down here in my timeline. So if you haven't turned your timeline on, go up here to Windows, Timeline, and turn the timeline on. Okay, and half a second's fine. So we're going to leave that a half a second. And then I want this to be in a new state, that circle. So I'm going to hold my shift key down and I'm going to drag that all the way off. And you can zoom out a little bit right here. Let's make it 50%, so that way you can see the entire board, including the artboard out here. Okay. All right. So now we need to have the lion and the inner circle fly off. So I'm going to have the lion and the inner circle. I'm going to grab both of those layers by clicking and holding the shift key. Right. I'm going to click on lion, hold the shift key, click on inner circle, and now I'm going to drag both of those, hold the shift key down, right? Let's undo that. Okay. So it's a good idea to have your history open as well as your layers panel open. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to grab both of those layers. Yeah, there we go. And simply move it off the screen like that. Okay. So now let's go ahead and try tweening just this first section right here. Okay. So if I go here, you see on frame 1, they're both at the beginning, and on frame 2, they're here and here. So let's see what happens when I tween it. Okay. Let's just add 5 frames between this frame and the previous frame. We're going to leave everything alone. Click OK. All right, it created 5 new frames. There we go. In. All right, so let's start at 1 and hit. Okay, that's not actually too bad. It's a little slow. So let's go ahead and speed it up. So I'm going to grab 2 through 6. I'm going to click on 2, hold my shift key, go all the way to 6, and let's change this from 0.5 to 0.2 seconds. We're going to do the same thing, make this 0.2 seconds. Let's start in the first frame. Click play. That's not too bad. All right. So now we have our first animation, which is the logo flying off. So then in the next frame, so let's make a new frame. Let's have the logo just reappear. I'm not going to mess with my 2 broken pieces of the logo. I'm just going to take my line complete and turn it on. And then let's just have that'll be frame 8. Okay. So now let's make another new frame, frame 9. And now let's start the rotation. And the rotation is going to be really simple. So we have frame 8 is here. So now I'm just going to turn for frame 9. I'm just going to turn on line 2 and turn off line 1. And then I'm going to make a new frame, frame 10. And the same thing. 3 on, 2 off. Frame 11. 4 on, 3 off. Frame 12, so on. 5 and 4. Another new frame. 6 and 5. Another new frame. 7 and 6. Another new frame. 8 and 7. Another new frame. 1. And then let's make frame 16 here persist for half of a second. Maybe even a full second. Okay, so now let's go back to frame 1 and let's hit play. Let's see what happens. Not bad, not shabby at all, right? So you see how the planning has really paid off for us. We've been able to accomplish all the tasks that we were trying to do before, but because we didn't really have all the assets that we wanted, it didn't work out. So then the last thing I want to do is have the senior class of 2019 flash on and off. So let's go ahead and make a new frame, right? And then we're going to turn off seniors, make a new frame, turn off 2019. I'm going to turn seniors back on, make a new frame, same thing, switch it back, make a new frame, switch back, make a new frame, switch it back, make a new frame, turn them both on, and then let's make this frame. All right, let's go back to all these frames 17 through 21. And let's all change the timing here to 0.2 seconds. And then frame 23, we're going to have persist for 1 second. In fact, I think I'm going to have it persist for 5 seconds. Okay, so let's go back to frame 1 and hit our play button. Not too bad. Okay, so that was a little fast because you're trying to read the seniors. So I'm going to change this from 0.2. So I'm going to click on 17, hold my shift key down, click on 21. Let's change this to 0.5 seconds all the way across the board. All right, and then let's go back to frame 1. I'm going to make frame 1 also persist for a full second. And hit play. That's a little better. A little slowed down there. Come and hit stop. All right, the end of this right here, 6, 7, 7. I'm going to have 7 persist for 2 seconds. Okay, let's go back to frame 1. That's pretty good. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and save as. We're going to save this as a PSD, right? But we're going to save this as final animation test. So asset test, and it'll start with your name, of course, as a PSD, save. All right, and then we're going to go up here, file, export, and then we're going to save for legacy, web legacy, right? And then we're just going to go ahead and hit that save button. And this will be a .jpeg. So go ahead and save. And we're done. I want you to upload both the PSD and the GIF, the GIF. I said JPEG earlier, it's a GIF. I want you to upload both of those files to the classroom. And that is your last test for the 6 weeks.